From the Arsenal players, the Arsenal manager, the Arsenal fans and elsewhere.
It's a great day, it's a great day, it's a great day. You know that,
are you staying in that mood?
No, because like it's just one of those things that I was sent it to my man Roscoe, and like just because I didn't want to go over the top with it. And so now it's out there, but like it was a great day for Arsenal fans yesterday.
It was a great day for Arsenal fans. Karen Carney and Julien Laurent are here with us. That's it though, 8 points clear. We're into January, all looking very comfortable, as you know. Next weekend, and then there's a little break for cup competitions, and Man United coming up. It could all be pretty much done and dusted.
No, Kels, I know what you're doing, Kels. I know what you're trying to do, and people are doing it all. You know, the mentions and everything is just ridiculous. But because I'm trying to continually tell Arsenal fans to enjoy the moment while it's happening. We're doing very, very well. We played very well yesterday, whatever anyone says. And yes, 8 points. You know, people were talking about this game going into it. Well, let's see what they do because they got Tottenham and Man United. I thought we beat them pretty comfortably, even though, yes, our goalie had to make saves, but we were very good in the game. But, like, we're dealing with what has to be dealt with, and all the noise that's coming out of Arsenal is very humble, very calm. And this is why it's very much the fans' time and prerogative to celebrate these times. It's very exciting.
It is very exciting, and the reason that Arsenal fans can potentially get carried away with this is, as Wrighty said, the way that they're playing, the way that they're getting these results.
Yeah, they're deservedly winning, and it's comfortable and it's enjoyable to watch. It's with a style, it's with an identity we've seen for 2 or 3 years coming. And I think the association with the fans is back as well, so there's generally a massive feel-good factor around the place. You know, I enjoy watching Arsenal. Probably I haven't said that for 3 or 4 years, to be brutally honest. But now it's a joy to watch them. They're exciting, and they've been playing some brilliant football. But the big game is next week.
Yeah, but the big game against Man United is next week, because theoretically they should have been. They should have done this to Spurs, who were very poor, has to be said, in the North London derby. The only thing is, you only have to go as far back as last season to see the gulf was there on the pitch in a very different way. So it's the turnaround in both sides.
Yeah, it is, to be fair. I mean, one clearly is on the way up and the other one with Conte on the way down. One has a clear direction, a clear plan. The other is still not really sure who even will be the manager next season. It's as simple as that. And usually in the North London derby in the last few years, the home side wins. You know, Spurs at home and Arsenal at home. This season is very different. I mean, Spurs got battered home and away now. And the way Arsenal played, the character they showed, we said with Wrighty before preparing the show, they played like champions in the first half, the way they played, and they defended like champions in the second half when they had to maybe control a bit more and be a bit more cautious. And Ramsdale finished the job, really, and it was very impressive. Yeah, that home team record has been quite long-standing. The last time that Arsenal won a North London derby at Tottenham was 2014. And the goal was scored by Thomas Rosicky. It was a really, really good goal.
Wow.
And the captain, as you said, was Mikel Arteta. So he knows all about beating Tottenham on their home turf, but not necessarily as a manager. This is the first one. And what the significance of this beating is that it had to happen, because if we've got any aspirations to try and win this league, then you have to go to a place like Tottenham and not lose. That's for a start. Draw or win. Now, when we went there, and he still played how they play. They start very fast. You've got the 5 at the front, and then they try to close down. And if they try to break out, they try to win the ball back early. And you've got the 5 at the back who, for the counter-attack, they're ready for it. It's all very military precision league, like you know, the formation's brilliant, Kels, at the minute. And so they can go anywhere and know that the way they're playing, the style and the structure of what they're playing, because everybody knows what they're doing, you can play with confidence and start fast, like they've been doing, starting fast, you know. So that's what we know, that Tottenham don't start fast. They normally score in the second half. I think, 14 points or something they've got from losing positions. But it's the way Arsenal started and continue to go at them is what was impressive for me. Yeah, you were saying that earlier. It's about every cog that they have. And I know this is kind of true of a lot of sides when they're having a really successful spell. But for Arsenal, it feels like the balance is so finely tuned. I think we were speaking about it because Mikel Arteta ran and got Xhaka at the end, didn't he? He doesn't want anything to happen to him because, as we said, every cog is so well drilled and they all know what they're doing. And Mikel Arteta is thinking, I don't want to lose any piece of that, because then it affects how everyone flows and moves. And we all thought that with Jesus, to be fair. But Nketiah's come in and gone, I'll do that. But
he just still needs to keep all those pieces. And then when Jesus comes back, you've got another dimension to it. But they all work, they're all fluid, they all understand their roles, and they're all willing to do what's needed to be done. But the biggest thing is mentality.
Yes.
For me, the only people that will beat Arsenal is themselves. They have to now internally go, we can win it, not, we could, we can, and we should. And and that will be the big test next week. But they should go into that going, we're top, we're clear at the moment, we're playing well, we deserve to be here, and we keep it. And I think that's the shift they've got to do.
Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be really interesting for the game against Man United because they've been going great guns, and we'll talk more about them in the second part. But Karen put it really well there, that shift from we could to we can. And that kind of has to settle into them. They have to feel that in their bones.
Yeah, but that's something that I think that last season with having to beat Newcastle and Tottenham to get into Champions League after having a good season up to that point and then falling at that hurdle, I think they've learned a lot from what they have to do going into games. And so Karen's absolutely 100% right about the mentality, because this stage of the season, the games that they're going into now is all about how strong your mentality is, because now you're going to games where when you're going for the league, you have to win them, you can't lose them, you have to find a way to win them. And that all relies on your mental strength and what you're doing and the togetherness. And I think that when you saw the way, like I say, we played against them yesterday, it's normally more, Tottenham would have been and put us under a bit more pressure, but like you rightly say, Ken, they didn't play very well at all, but we took full advantage of it because of the way we're playing. There's way the structures and way we're playing, we're able to take advantage of them. And players individually are playing well. Erdegaard, Saka, Xhaka, Zinchenko's always going to play, and Ramsdale. You're going to need 5 or 6 players who are playing really, really well in the structure. And that's what's happening at the moment. So that's why, at the moment, it's a bit of a crest of a wave. But the difficulty will come. The suffering's necessary.
And what's been noticeable is the players who've been criticised for their Arsenal performances who are playing well. The likes of Xhaka, who you mentioned there. Gabriel is another player who's been criticised, and yet they're all raising their game, or their game's being raised by the performances of the players around them?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think Xhaka has benefited from Zinchenko, for example, who's had an incredible impact on and off the pitch on that team to go back to the winning mentality. Yes. I think Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, but now just Zinchenko, coming from a City dressing room and Pep Guardiola as a coach and Mikel before, obviously as an assistant coach, coming and saying, we can win, but you have to behave as winners.
Yes.
And I think this is the big difference. And I think Xhaka has benefited from Zinchenko a lot. And I think when everybody's calm around you, when you see Thomas Partey yesterday, always so calm on the ball. To be fair, with a lot of time on it, too much time on it, but still, I think it gets transmitted to everybody, and then you maybe not the hot-headed Xhaka that we saw before, because everybody around him, especially Zinchenko and Partey, are so calm. And I think they're just helping each other collectively to be all better individually.
I think that's really interesting, this idea of the mentality, is that you would think it would be easy to go into a group of players and say, you need to have a winning mentality, but until you've won it, you can't have a winning mentality. You don't really know what a winning mentality is. So what do players who have won it, like Jesus and Zinchenko, coming into the dressing room, what do they do? What do they say that's different?
Behave, Kelly. Yeah, exactly what you said. So when Jesus is out, how's he behaving towards Eddie Nketiah? He's helping him because he knows to win, I need to help him and to help him grow. Excuse me. And it's actions. Like, a lot of people say, we want to win, but saying it is different to doing it. It's how you train every single day. It's how you apply yourself, how you go through resilient moments, how you have conversations with players that might not be happy because they're not playing, but it's difficult because the team's doing well. How do you pull them through? That's what winners do. They behave with actions, not with words.
And probably the way that they train. You can't tell me that someone like Zinchenko and Jesus, the way they've trained 2 players of 4 Premier League titles themselves. When you're Eddie Nketiah, Emil Smith-Rowe, all the guys, when you see those guys who haven't won that kind of trophy or medal, you look at the way they act every day, and that kind of feeds into what you're doing. And then you see the calmness. And then you talk about before the game, like a big game yesterday. I'm sure that some along the line, Jesus or Zinchenko will be telling them about the moments in the game, that we're going to have moments where we're going to be defending. We have to do everything properly, the basics, do them right, and then players, when you get the opportunity to break and do your stuff, then take full advantage of it. And especially when you're not playing well, that's when you have to be together even more. And that is when you build the strength and the mentality to go all the way for as long as it takes to actually win the game or get yourself back in the game or finish the game.
Yeah, there's going to be all kinds of tests ahead. They've got the games against Manchester United, they've got games against Manchester City coming up as well. When you see them celebrate at the end of that game, and you look at how the Arsenal players react, it felt like there was a sea change from outside of Arsenal as well, actually. Even scrolling through my timeline on Twitter, there's everybody's starting to say, Arsenal are going to win this. So, no, but for the first time, not like you said, not Arsenal could win this, but Arsenal are going to win this. There seems to be a perception from outside the club as well as inside. Yeah,
massively. I think I was at the game yesterday, and at full time, Zinchenko, I think, is the first one to celebrate with Mikel and some of his assistants, and you see then the importance of Zinchenko on and off the pitch. And then there's that melee with Ramsdale, but then they all go to the corner, which is the opposite corner where the Arsenal fans still are. And then the celebration, all the running from one corner of the pitch to the other, they just go mad. And you can say they're over-celebrating. I don't get it. I don't understand people who say that they should not celebrate the way they did. It's a huge win in the derby.
Yes.
That put them 8 points clear with a similar goal difference to Manchester City. So, of course,
we don't squash joy here.
No,
we're all for celebrating.
Yeah, why shouldn't it's a good day. Remember what
it's a
Wrighty said?
Brilliant day.
But you're right. I think there's a lot of perception because before the Brentford game away, people are saying, "Oh, this is a big test." They lost 2-0 last season. They won that before home to Liverpool. Oh, it's a big test. Or against Spurs.
And even the way they beat Brighton the other day.
Yeah, even Brighton. And then every time we say, it's a big test, I'm not really sure. They go and they pass the test.
Yeah.
There will be a point where they might not pass it, maybe next weekend. But I still think that they look pretty special.
I think as well, Jules, is that I remember when Leicester done it, I was watching it so intently. And I remember when they beat City at the Etihad 3-1, it was the moment where you say, they're going to do it. I'm not sure if we've got to the game where I'm thinking you're going to do it yet, because every test that we've come up to at the moment, yes, we've passed it. But then, yes, you got Man United next week. And even when we played Man United early on in the season, they beat us. We made a couple of mistakes and got punished in that, but we still played well in the game. So all I want to see from Arsenal is them just consistently play well, because then another team has to play better to beat them. And at the moment, they feel confident going into any game. And that is why, again, I can't understand. I'm hearing people talking about the celebration. You have to celebrate like that, especially if you're winning at Tottenham, even if we were mid-table, because that's a big result for us and our fans. But like for it to be a game that takes us 8 points clear, of course you've got to be happy about that. And one thing you have to remember, the most important thing at Tottenham, if you win there, you have to tease them. You have to tease them. You know, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Look, there's a bit of that in there as well, but also, like you said, they've got to celebrate and then they've got to be calm straight away afterwards and start to prepare for the next game. But when you look at the players, and we talked about the ones who've come into Arsenal, have made a difference in terms of mentality. We talked about Eddie Nketiah, who's taken his opportunity with the injury to Jesus. And someone like Martin Odegaard, who's come in, but has developed so much this season. And he was always a very good player, but this season seems to be another level.
He's looking at the minute like he could be player of the season, especially if Arsenal can finish this off. And talk about somebody that his pedigree, you know, Real Madrid took him at 15. Everybody's thinking, oh my gosh, can't wait to see this guy. Obviously, they haven't got the patience for his development from then to now, or whether or not he'd be able to be good enough to go into their team and do what he's doing to Arsenal. But the main thing is that he's found a way to a place which has accepted him for exactly what he brings to us, leading by example with the caliber of player he is. He's captain already at what, 22, 23?
23, yeah. And,
you know, with the pedigree he's got, I just feel like, you know, anything happens to Odegaard, Partey, or Saka, and I'd be worried. But even more so Odegaard, because at the moment he's the player of the season. We
talk about mentality, and right, he's 100% correct. When you go to Real Madrid at 15, 16, and you go in to that type of arena, that's that young, and you're with all those players and that culture, and we talk about mentality. And it was hard for him. Imagine what he learnt. So he's had to be resilient, find another way. But imagine what he learnt in that time period. And then he's gone into Arsenal, and we talk about Jesus and Zinchenko. What learnings does he bring? Because I tell you, it's really good. Amazing. I want to listen to him. I'd want to see
in
what
there
he's
with Galact at that age, coming from a different country. You know what I mean? The winning mentality, how you act as a winner. Because you're talking about Real Madrid side, that were continually winning, and how humble they were, and how they continue to win, Kels, and that's what we've got.
I'm not sure they were humble, were they?
Well, no.
They
celebrate. I'm saying in the way that they had to go about themselves every day. They had to kind of quash it until they done it.
Yeah.
You know,
they still had to do all the sort of practical things that got them to that level. When you look at his development, it kind of mirrors the progress that Arsenal have been on under Mikel Arteta. There's one way of looking at this, which is if you give a manager time, he will get it right. But it's deeper than that. It's more complicated than that. Not much more, but it is more complicated.
Yeah, it is, because he needed the players to implement his style of football, which if you look at the clear-out that happens when he took over the job, and then where we are now, I think there's only 3 players still left in that squads. The rest, the one he didn't want, had to go. Sometimes it was a bit brutal, to be fair. Or sometimes it was just a normal transfer. And then they had to find him and the recruitment team and Edu Gaspar, the right players to come in and fit in. And Odegaard is the perfect example. Saka you had, Martinelli you had already. But to find someone like Odegaard to be able to fluidify your game, to play between the line, to be the creator, but also now the finisher, was very important. And they could have gone for someone else.
Exactly.
Not find it. But
and yet you have to mention Partey, the way Partey is playing now. You know, Zinchenko. Saliba, the way, thank you, Kaz. Saliba, and the way that they done that 3-year kind of like loan spell, even to the point where the last year when he went, everyone was saying, well, why are we sending him out again? And what we're seeing this season is somebody that is totally up to speed and ready to play football at this level. The way that Edu, and you have to mention Vinay as well, you know, even Per Mertesacker, and the manager, Mikel, as a young kind of team, a young management team, they've really, really excelled in the way that they've turned it around and got it to a place where not only have they got the fans involved, the club's all one together at the minute, feel like it's one together, but the players believe. The players believe that they can do something.
Do you think the fact that they've come in at that sort of early stage of their development, someone like Saliba, even though he went out on loan, Odegaard, players like that who've come in, they've been able to mould them because they've had time to grow this Arsenal side into exactly what they want and exactly what Mikel Arteta needs for the side?
Well, that's what we're seeing with Saliba. It's almost as if you've got this guy who was our guy, and like I say, he went out for 3 years, and he's literally come into this team, and he looks like he's been playing it for 10 years. You know, when Martin Odegaard came over here on loan, you know what I mean? The way he played, you could see, wow, this guy, he just fits straight in. Thomas Partey, bam, fits straight in. And then all of a sudden, you see what Granit Xhaka's capable of doing. You know, playing him a little bit further forward where he can do his offensive stuff, which is something that he's used to in his career. It's the way that everybody has fitted in perfectly at the right time now. And Mikel has got to take a lot of credit for that.
I wonder doing the same Balogun as well. He's gone out alone as well. So we're looking for this potential, another addition to come in. We saw him, sent him out on loan, similar to Saliba. And he's a talent. I really like him. So if he goes and then comes back, it's like another new signing that fits into the culture and the mould again.
Can you imagine how Balogun feels? He's out there thinking, I've got to get myself back to that place at some stage. So hopefully he'll be playing better. So at the moment, Kels, everything's moving smoothly.
How would Mudryk have fitted in had he become an Arsenal player?
He would have fitted in brilliantly. I feel for him because obviously he made no secret of how much he wanted to come to Arsenal. He's a fantastic player. 22, and you know what, Chelsea, yes, they've come in, and I know we've done a lot of homework on him for him to come into the group and fit into the group, come into the style of play what we're doing, but Chelsea have got the finances and the capabilities to maybe turn, not maybe his head, because we know he wanted to come, but maybe the people around him, with the monies that's involved, is far more attractive. And what I'm pleased about from Arsenal's point of view is not pursuing something that's going to take us off the road of what you're actually trying to build. To spend 100 million on somebody that is, what, has he played 50 games yet? I'm not
100
sure.
100 million euros, up
100
to
million
100
euros,
million euros.
On somebody that you're gonna kind of not mess up what you're doing, but you're gonna go off the plan. You know, as good as he is, and hopefully he'll prove to be as good. But I'm quite pleased that they've said, okay, well, we can't do that. We can't compete with that. So
they're stubborn with it, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think it's a good business decision for the team and what Arsenal's doing at the moment. But I do wish him luck because I know he wanted to come. Because
there is a danger that he will be sort of cast as a player who's just chased the money. It's, again, more complicated than that, isn't it? It's not just for him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly in terms of wages, he will earn more at Chelsea than Arsenal. They almost double up what Arsenal were ready to offer, were already offered because he had agreed personal terms with Arsenal. It's just that Chelsea came in and whatever Shakhtar put on the table, they would have paid the price. Arsenal had the limit. I think the Kroenke would have paid. But Edu and Mikel said, like, we have to be disciplined here. We have to have a structure. And they respected it. And I think they deserve respect for that. Even if Mudryk turns out to be an amazing signing for Chelsea, I don't think Arsenal could have gone to that level. And I think they did the right thing. Now we will see what he does with Chelsea. But it was very much like a case of Arsenal trying to be sensitive in the way, or sensible, in the way that they did that deal. And Chelsea went and blew everything away anyway.
What's he going to do at Chelsea then?
Well, you know what? If what you see he's capable of, if he comes anywhere near that and gets near that kind of ability, what he's got, because he's got fantastic skills, great pace. You know, if he gets near that, then he's going to be fantastic. But what you're hoping is that he's able to fit into what Chelsea are doing, because we had a plan for him. Chelsea have just bought him; they've just taken him off of us. So, because of how good he is, hopefully he'll be able to fit in with what Graham Potter can finally get to build. Hopefully,
I mean, it's exactly what they needed, isn't it? They haven't got anybody who can do that.
But this is what I'm saying, Kels, and this is where you worry for players like that, because then if it does start to go, there's going to be people who are not going to be happy, but they're sitting at Chelsea and they're going to be on a big wage. And how do you get them? Because people can't afford them. Those are the decisions that those players have to make and their managers have to make, and they make them because obviously at the moment it's very, very attractive to him. Good luck to him. You know, I would never ever say anything other than you take that money, look after your family, do what you're doing. But the fact is, you want him to play well and prove that he's good enough to be in this league and he can excel in the league. I think he had a great chance at our place doing that. But again, if Chelsea get it right, he's got a great chance of doing it there as well, earning more money.
Might not be this season for success necessarily at Chelsea, although that might well be on the cards for Arsenal, especially after that win against Tottenham. There was lots of celebration, as we said, from the Arsenal players at the final whistle. It started off at that corner that was down in front of the Spurs fans, and one of those Spurs fans came on and appeared to kick Aaron Ramsdale in the back. And the Premier League have released a statement on that, condemning the actions, of course, of the fan at the conclusion of the game. There is no place in football for acts of violence, and under no circumstances should players be attacked for fear of their safety at games. The league will support the clubs and relevant authorities in taking the strongest possible action against the individual responsible. And Tottenham have reacted to this as well and said he won't be welcome at games in future.
Well, you hope not, you know, because it didn't make a secret of what he was trying to do. I have to say, I've got no problem in saying it, I think Richarlison and the way Richarlison acted at the end with Aaron Ramsdale probably kind of wound them up. Wound them up to the point where Aaron Ramsdale's got to go behind the goal to get his water bottle, his hat, whatever's behind there. Aaron Ramsdale said he was having very good banter. I've had very good banter with Tottenham fans, and then you can leave. But then obviously somebody takes it further. So he was giving it back, they took it, bam, and this guy went over the top, and he should be banned from football for life. Should be.
Even when you look at Richarlison's actions in that, there is a question of personal responsibility from the fan involved, and of course both the Premier League and Tottenham are looking at his actions.